Hi, I'm Dave, and welcome back to a Giant Slayers Leadership Focus. For the past several weeks, we've been talking about lessons from John Maxwell's study, Learning to Become a Person of Influence. And today's lesson specifically says that a positive influencer connects with people. Now, to connect with people, we have to be credible, don't we? We have to be honest. They have to trust us. And we also have to be able to communicate. In other words, we have to be able to be a good listener, understand the other person, as well as be a good speaker or conversationalist, because that's what it takes to be a connector with others. In his chapter, he gives a great analogy of how we should learn how to connect. And he likened it to a railway station, and how that at the railway station, there are rail cars. They're sitting there with plumb full of product and cargo that needs to go from point A to point B. Now it's sitting there, it's ready, but it can't go anywhere until it's hooked up to a locomotive. And to do that, the rail car doesn't hook up to the locomotive. The locomotive pulls around in front, switches tracks, backs up, and connects to that rail car so they can take that power and go down the tracks and take that cargo where it needs to go. Now think about that in terms of a relationship. We've got people in our lives. Maybe it's our children, maybe it's someone who works for us or with us, maybe it's someone we're mentoring on a personal level, and that person has potential. But if we're waiting on that person to connect with us, more than likely it's not going to happen. We're going to have to maneuver ourselves into a position strategically with that person in a relationship so that we can connect with that person and help them take their cargo or their potential where it needs to go. Great analogy. I wanted to share that with you. So there are some reasons why people connect when they communicate. And the first is for relationships. People listen to us because of what we know. Doesn't mean we have to know it all, but we all have experience in some place, and there are people out there that need to hear your experience, your lessons, and there are people who need to hear that. So that helps build relationships. We share something in common. They're trying to get through an experience, maybe something you've been through, and you can share that. Sacrifice. People will listen to you because of what you've suffered. Now, if you've never really went through anything hard, more than likely you're not going to be able to influence someone who's trying to go through something hard that you've never experienced. So our experience and the things we've sacrificed will help us build a relationship with that person. Insight. People listen because of what you know. So, and it comes back to experience. Sometimes it's you've been involved with experience or been involved with experience with others, and you have some insight and some wisdom there that people can connect with. The next thing is experience. People listen because of what you've achieved. Success does matter. If we never succeed in anything, then the only success we have is success of never being successful. So if we're going to be successful in some things, we need to keep it in the back of our mind that we're not only trying to be successful for ourselves, we're trying to be successful so we can lay the groundwork and create a path that others can follow us and connect with them that way. Abilities. People listen because of what you're able to do. If someone's trying to teach me a particular task or skill and they've never done it before, they're not likely going to have a whole lot of impact and influence with me. But if they've done it and they know how to do it, then it makes it easier for me to trust them because, like I said, they're credible and I can trust them. Intuition. People listen because of what you sense. Now, intuition's a funny thing. Intuition is not something you can teach. Intuition is something you have. But you can hone your intuition if you stay in your gifting and your strength zones. There are some things that I have no intuition, I have no clue. But there are some things that I can pick up on pretty quick. For instance, I teach leadership. I've studied it for the past 20 some years, and I've been a leader. So I can walk into a room and I can usually tell if there's a leadership issue or a teamwork issue, whether it be mistrust, bad communication, bad systems, or whatever. So I have some intuition in that area that I can share. Now, when it comes to something maybe in the medical field, I don't have a clue because I'm not gifted there. That's not my strength zone. Character. People listen because of your integrity. And that was lesson number 1 about modeling integrity. It's hard for folks to trust us and connect with us if they don't trust us. Next is humility. People listen because of your heart. If we're always bragging and giving boasting on our past achievements, that's going to draw a very small crowd. And as a matter of fact, the small crowd we draw, we're not going to keep them because nobody really wants to hear about our experiences when we're boasting about our achievements. So we need to be humble. Next is relevance. People listen because you identify with their needs. So if we can identify, if I can tell them, hey, listen, I understand, I really know what you're going through because I've been through it, or at least I know someone who's went through the situation you're going in, or trying to learn what you're trying to learn, then we can connect because we're relevant. Many times we try to teach people things that they really don't want to know. It's not really related to where they're at in their life, and we have to be able to understand where they're at, so we can take the wisdom that we have on the inside of us and make it relevant to their situation. Next is convictions. People listen because of your passion. Have you ever had a leader who had no passion? It was just dry, mundane. Let's just do it. Let's get this thing done, and no zeal, no passion. And you can tell they haven't really bought into what they're trying to tell you. Well, man, that's hard to follow someone like that. Sometimes you have to inspire yourself. So if you're not passionate about something, you're going to have trouble connecting with people to help them reach their potential, because if we're not passionate, they're not going to be passionate. All right, there's 9 steps for connecting with people, and we have to go to their world. So I want to share those with you. Anytime you devalue people, you question God's creation of them. That's a quote by Coach Bill McCartney. Great quotes. Great quote. Anytime you devalue them, you question God's creation of them. God made us all. We've all got talents. We've all got weaknesses. And it's easy to see other people's weaknesses, and sometimes we judge people by their weaknesses, and we don't take time to find their strengths. So next, the first principle is don't take people for granted. Never take people for granted. The second thing is possess a make a difference mindset. That's a choice, to have a make a difference mindset. And how you do that is, first off, you have to believe you can make a difference. You have to believe that you can share, what you share can make a difference. You have to believe the person you share with can make a difference. And you have to believe that together you can make a difference. So it's a mindset. The third thing is initiate movement toward them. And that's what we talked about the locomotive. We can't wait for them to connect with us. More likely they're not going to. This is a quote by Tom Peters and Nancy Austin. It says, the number one managerial productivity problem in America is, quite simply, managers who are out of touch with their people and out of touch with their customers. And as a business leader and consultant, I know that to be true. Sometimes we blame it on our customer base, sometimes we blame it on our employees, but really it's because the manager and the leader has lost touch. 80% of the chokehold on any organization is the mindset of the leader. Remember that. Number 4, look for common ground. Sometimes that takes effort, but there's always something we can connect with, and a lot of times it's our values. We can find some things that we value, and we can build upon that. Next is, number 5 is respect. Recognize and respect differences in personalities. Now, this is kind of tough unless we are strategic and intentional in our efforts, because some people can kind of rub us the wrong way, and a lot of times it's just because they think different and act different. Extroverts and introverts sometimes have a hard time connecting, but both are valuable, and we have to see the value in those differences. Number 6, find the key to other people's lives. Find out what a person has already achieved and what he or she aspires to achieve. So if we can find out what they've already done and what their hopes and dreams are, we can connect there. Number 7, communicate from the heart. Head knowledge will get you some places, but communication from the heart will move a person into action because it's real. There's emotion in there. Number 8, share common experiences. And number 9, once you're connected, move forward. It's time to help them move forward. You got to pull them along sometimes. Sometimes you got to run alongside of them, but we got to move forward. A quote here that I'm not sure who it was. It says, the leadership is cultivating in people today a future willingness on their part to follow you into something new for the sake of something great. So a lot of times we have a hard time connecting with people because of our own vision. So if we don't have a compelling vision, we're not going to get people to follow us. We're not going to have a whole lot of influence with them. So if we want to move people forward with us, we have to give them something to move toward. They want to achieve greatness with us. Now I'm going to add an influence checklist about how to connect with your people on my website. You can print it off and do it yourself, but I highly suggest that if you really want to be a better connector, take this exercise and apply it to your life, because knowledge is wonderful, but knowledge unapplied is frustrating. We'll know what to do, But if we don't begin to apply it immediately, we'll kind of lose that. We remember about 10% of what we hear, but we remember between 70 and 90% of what we hear, see, and we do. So if you want to be a better connector, if you want to be a more positive influencer, begin to apply these principles today. And take yourself to new heights, and take the people in your life that matters to new heights too. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.